Hello and welcome everyone to Cavalier Historia, and today we'll be continuing on with Call of Duty World at War. Eviction is our next mission. And I think it's from this mission on that I would consider this game to be just peak. I do like how it's not entirely black and white. You have Chernov protesting it. You got that one Russian attempting to stop the execution, but the vast majority of them are compliant in it. It does a good job of not entirely demonizing the Russian soldiers, which they shouldn't be demonized. They were human beings just like us. Anyway, now we have to go ahead and ambush these guys. Get this guy. So yeah, we are currently in Berlin. This is during the fall of Berlin, where basically the entire... what was left of the German army is stretched out trying to defend this city, and they have been surrounded and cut off from the rest of German forces who are fighting further to the west. Hitler ordered a guy by the name of General Vank with the 12th Army. Yeah, the 12th Army, to try to relieve the city. But the problem is, though, is that this city by this point has already been surrounded by over 1 million Russian soldiers. So Vank kind of saw that as a suicide mission, so instead he rescued as many people as he could and surrendered to the Americans. Alright, and we saved the guy. Yeah, they will execute him if you don't intervene fast enough. Yeah. But this is what I liked about this mission, is that it kind of shows the desperation the Germans were in at this point. And you can run onto this balcony and provide covering fire for your guys down below. Or toss a grenade down there, for example. Just kill 3 of them, with them having no clue where that came from. Now around here is a double-barreled shotgun. It's not the sawed-off, it is a traditional double-barreled shotgun, which, to be honest, I half prefer. I prefer the longer-barreled shotguns. I don't know why. I think I just prefer, the aesthetic. Let's throw a Molotov. Alright, that guy's down. So there's a machine gunner there, so you don't want to take him on head on. Instead, you want to come up here, and you're going to try to flank around. Shotguns beat rocket launchers in close quarters. Alright, well, let's move up. So yeah, like I was saying before, I think they're only about a month, if I remember the date of this mission. They're only about a month away from the formal end of the war in Europe. And basically at this point, the vast majority of the Germans had one objective, and that was survive. Yeah, it was more kind of just save yourself. Although surprisingly, the German army really didn't lose discipline. Even as the entirety of the Red Army and the Western Allies began to crush the Germans between them, there was very little actual desertion, and there was very little actual people just surrendering without their entire command surrendering. It wasn't like individuals surrendering, more so that it was entire units surrendering after their officer decided that, enough was enough. Yeah, so one of the more significant soldiers, or I guess you should say officers, of the German army was General Walter Wenck. He was one of the younger, I think he was the youngest Wehrmacht commander to be a general. And he was put in charge of the 12th Army. He had just successfully retreated across the river. And that's when he was told to basically try to liberate Berlin by himself with his ragtag army that really wasn't an army anymore. Let's actually keep the shotgun for now. Yeah, instead he decided that was stupid, took whatever troops he could, and led them to safety by surrendering to the Americans. And he saved civilians, he saved a lot of soldiers under his command. He's also saved the 9th SS Army as well by extricating them across the river, across the Elbe. That's the river name, the Elbe. There's actually a really good Hearts of Iron, well, that's the name of the song, but a Sabaton song called Hearts of Iron, which is actually genuinely one of my favorite Sabaton songs. And it's about the entire plight of the 12th Army and them attempting to escape and surrender to the Americans in the West. So yeah, there's a common meme if you take a look at any history memes. You got the Steiner counterattack meme, which is this idea that if Steiner attacked, the Germans would have won World War II because they would have been able to reverse everything and conquer America and that bullshit. So Steiner was a general at this time, and he was actually in charge of really the only armored assets that was left in northern Germany for the German army. So Hitler ordered him to counterattack, but he refused on the account of he was just fighting to keep his army alive. Well, not his army, it was a Kampfgruppe. It wasn't even like a proper unit, it was just a whole collection of armored vehicles and infantry that he cobbled together. Which, to be fair, that was pretty much the entirety of the German army at this point. It was just one officer and whatever soldiers were around him. That was it. That's what the German army was at this point. It was just a bunch of random Kampfgruppe. So Kampfgruppe is a actual thing in German. It means like battle group. And basically the whole idea is that you take an officer, then you surround his unit with supporting arms. So, like, if he's an infantry commander, that's the most common one. You would give him, let's say he's in charge of an infantry battalion. what you would do is you would say take a company of tanks out of one battalion to reinforce his battalion. Then you might take another infantry battalion, put that under his command, and then like put like an artillery battery with him and just tell him go accomplish X objective. And that's what Kampfgruppe was. It was just these ragtag, well, at the start of the war they were well organized groups with specific tasks and specific roles that they needed to do. By the end of the war, these were more just ragtag, whatever you can grab soldiers rather than dedicated units to accomplish certain tasks, like they were at the beginning of the war. And this is where I love this scene transition. And keep in mind that, make sure they're all dead. There's a whole bunch of wounded Germans in here. And you could kill as many as you want. You could spare as many as you want. And I mentioned earlier about how there's some moral choices. This is the third and final one. You can either grant them a quick death, or you can let them burn to death. Let's go ahead and grant them the quick death. Yeah. That, by the way, is actually a war crime. You're not allowed to shoot surrendering soldiers. But that's how this war was seen. What was? It wasn't a, oh, well, maybe you should be concerned about the Geneva Convention. It's like, no, like, the Russians didn't care, the Germans didn't care, the Americans kind of cared, the British kind of cared, but at the end of the day, it was just brutal. It was just a brutal war. I mean, the Germans here are fighting for a genocidal ideology. And the Russians, they're fighting for not necessarily a genocidal ideology, but still a pretty severe ideology. That was fiercely anti-anything that wasn't communist. Let's shoot this guy. So we're down here in the tunnels. Eventually these will be flooded. And they will be flooded by the Germans as a last desperate chance to stop the Russians. And I bring up the tunnels flooding for no particular reason. Yeah, none. None whatsoever. Alright. So by this point in by this point in the war, the Card 88K is, the stock should be mostly made out of plywood. Which I know sounds like bad quality, but it really wasn't. It was basically a cost-saving measure that the Germans did because, oh dear God, the Russians are right around the corner. We need as many guns as we can get. They didn't send out necessarily bad guns, just guns that are easier to mass produce. I'm in a bad spot. Oh God, I should have stayed. Oh great, I'm back here. Alright. I'm gonna try to rush up. I've already been shot. We're going great. I do like how smooth this bolt is. Like, the Kar 98K is a beautiful bolt action rifle. Like, it's just one of those things though where it's like, it's a very well-made rifle, as is most German things. The problem with German things was mostly because they were overly complicated for no reason. That's mainly their tanks. The one thing I will say that is just beautifully manufactured and beautifully engineered is the Kar 98K. I love the Kar 98K. I think it's such a good rifle. It has the problems of being a bolt action rifle, which, you know, it's not semi-automatic, so it's automatically worse than the M1 Grand. That guy's smart. Oh, so this is a spawn point. This is when they got kind of a little bit clever with hiding spawn points. So, like, Germans will keep running out of this hallway if you don't, like, move up farther enough in order to counter it. I know I said this before, but I just love how weighty and how just much power is in the shotgun. Alright, I should have shotgunned this guy. Yeah. So, eventually, the Germans would surrender after the fall of the Reichstag and the death of Mr. Mustache Man. Yeah, I do love this mission because they don't really program the Germans to like fall back, which they shouldn't be. This is basically the end of the line for them.
What do we do now?
Where did this guy go? Alright, got that guy. Let's grab that guy. Drop this guy. Alright. Realistically, this rifle should be sticking out. And they should be able to, like, grab it. Oh, God. I don't know how I survived that. So yeah, this is the Papasha, PPSH-41. Famously had a drum mag that was actually only fitted to the gun that it came with. So if you got a spare drum magazine, it would constantly cause jams. So you would actually have to hold the magazine in place. So this is a rare point where not grabbing the magazine and holding it by the magazine is actually a wrong thing. Because you would have to support the magazine in order to keep it feeding. Now, if you really wanted to, you could just, like, stay here and just do nothing. Now, remember how I said that the tunnel's flooded? Because the Germans decided they wanted to flood and kill everyone inside of the tunnels. Yeah, that's coming. Oh god. And with that, Dimitri has died.
The battle of Peleliu.
And with that, that'll be all for today. Next time we will hit Black Cats. This one's quite possibly my favorite mission in this entire game. But with that, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. And have a wonderful day. Goodbye.